everybody. Karen from Parenting Energetics. And today for our live session, I'm excited to talk about something that is confusing because we get a lot of different advice from folks that are really respected in the field about how to talk to kids about emotions. And there's a lot of us parents who really want to raise our kids towards that emotional intelligence development, right? And so the big advice that I hear a lot is that we should be guiding our kids to identify their emotions as they feel them. You know, what do you feel? Oh, are you feeling frustrated right now? Sort of, I see this a lot where parents are kind of given the advice to encourage their kids to identify feelings, sometimes even help them identify the feelings, whether it's frustration or anger or sadness. And that's sort of given as a potential way to help kids self-regulate, right? Because if they can say the word and bring it out of their body, maybe they can simmer down the emotion. I think that might be the misconception with how we as parents receive that information, because we're always looking for ways to how to help our kids self-regulate, right? So maybe that's one of the ways that we've heard, and we think, okay, maybe this will help my kid, you know, not feel it so, you know, big and drastically, and kind of gain some control or some management of the emotion by identifying it and saying it out loud. But actually, here's the thing. There is a really good time to help our kids identify their emotions, and there's a really good time not to. And so I'm going to clarify this in this video. Now, if this sounds good to you and you think you know some folks who could really use this information, then please share it. I would love for more and more people to get access to really useful information, because I know this is where a lot of us parents, we trip up. Like, how do we support our kids when they're going off the track emotionally, when things are getting really explosive, tantrums, meltdowns, defiance, all those behaviors that are really, it's tricky for us as parents for lots of reasons. And so that's the intent of this, these live sessions, is to give you some more application, more insight, some more tools on how to weather those storms better and better. Okay. So also, if you get in here while I am live, please let me know, say hi, let me know where you're coming from. And if you have any questions related to this issue, I would love to hear that too. It's really easy to respond when questions are showing up. Okay, so let's consider this. Or maybe you're at the grocery store and your child is starting to get what you have identified as frustrated because you're putting limits on what they can do at the store. Maybe they want to run around and you're telling them to please not, because it's not a safe space or they're going to bump into things. And they start to get some emotion rising up, right? Or some feelings, some big feelings. And you can see the signs, because we as parents, we notice the signs, especially the more we start to pay attention to our children's emotional flow map, which is one of the things I love to teach. We start to recognize the little incremental signs of my child, you know, going off track. And so maybe because we've heard this from, you know, really awesome people that we love, and we read their books and we've heard them on interviews, that we're encouraged to guide our kid, okay, oh, it looks to me, so this is what we might say, it looks to me like you're starting to feel frustrated that I've said that. Now, if your child is still in a connected place and they're just sort of on the edge of moving out of connection, that might be useful, because it might help them to recognize what's going on in their system. But if they're already into that off-track place and they're already starting to, you know, do that behavior that lets you know that they're really off track, like maybe their voice is getting louder, maybe they're acting defiant, and maybe they're jumping out of the cart, or maybe they're starting to run away, or maybe they're melting down into tears, whatever emotional rise is coming out that lets you know that they're already off track, that is not the moment to ask them to identify their emotion, for a really good reason. It's because in their neurology, the part of the brain that is the feeling part that wants to move those feelings that they're already is flooding their system right now, if they're off track, that part of the brain is nonverbal. And so when we ask our kids to verbalize by identifying their emotion or responding verbally to anything that we're saying, or even to listen to an explanation from us, we're actually asking them to set aside their feelings, maybe even suppress their feelings, and move to the thinking part of the brain, which is the verbal part of the brain. Now, for our youngest kids, their thinking part of the brain is really under development. They actually don't have a very analytical part of the brain developed until over the age of 6 or 7. And so it's really tricky for them to identify their emotions when they're only 3 or 4, especially when those big feelings are moving through their system. So that's my advice. Don't ask them to move away from their feelings if they're already in the flow of feeling. That's the best thing they can do, is to feel it, to let it roll, to let those feelings go. And, there's lots of ways that we as parents can support them to move those feelings